Yeah, okay, great. We're live. Welcome, ladies. Hello. I'm Taylor Thompson, live here in the She Network, and we have our live interview today with a very, very special guest. I'm super excited to have her on here. I can't wait to introduce you. So, as you're coming on, let us know you're here. Drop us a one. Hey. And maybe like if you're coming, we've had quite a few international visitors in the last couple of weeks. So let us know what country you're coming in from for sure today. So I have a really special guest. I can't wait for her to share her ideas with you today. And also because we're on the StreamYard platform, let us know, give us permission so we can see your name. Tara, Ireland. Hello, Sarah.
Yay.
You ladies coming on. So we have lots of value to share today. So I'm going to tell you how I met this beautiful creature here. Listen, always, really it's the network marketing. It's truly about networking. And, and hopefully someday we'll get to go back to live events, Brandy.
I know, soon, I hope.
Because I need a hug. I'm tired of virtual hugs. Oh, we got somebody from Italy. Hey, Rody.
Hi.
So I need a real hug, right? I need like some real interaction.
I know. How many of you are feeling that same thing? Because I feel like it's like, I don't know. It's like, I'm just like, it feels like the Groundhog Day over and over and over. You're like, what is this happening?
Put some hearts in the comments if you're ready to have a real live event where you can have a real hug from people that you love to network with. That would be, I'm super looking forward to that. But so I met you 2 years ago at a No Excuses event in Las Vegas. And, here's the thing, I'm going to encourage ladies, whenever we do get back to live events or even virtual events, whenever you see somebody, whenever you hear somebody's story, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to connect with them. Don't be afraid to say, oh my gosh, I loved your story. I so resonated with you. And that's how I like to connect with people from that perspective, because I love stories. I love to hear how they got started, how they got in the business. And this lady right here, I heard her up on stage. I was like, oh, I can't wait to meet her. And so it's, got to meet her. Met her in person, but now we're back here virtually. So she's been so gracious to come on. My beautiful partner, Miss Brandy Shaver. How are you?
I'm excited to be here with all of you amazing human beings. And you know what, Taylor, it's such an honor to hear you, say, connect with other people and thank them for their story and things like that, because that's ultimately networking, right? Like, it's making friends. We don't need to make it so hard, right? It's just making friends. And, if Taylor had, let's say, spoke here in Utah at something that I'd seen and, she'd shared her story, she wants to know about the impact that she creates, right? And so it's really cool to offer that, hey, you know what? Thank you for sharing your story. That really touched me, or, I got this out of it or whatever. So it's a great way to connect with people and a great way to, create more friends and network. And that's what this whole entire life is about. Not just business, right? But just human beings in general. But yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much. Because, I love what you're saying here, because ladies, so happy to have you here. We're so excited that you're here joining us. We're just talking about like networking before we jump into, Brandy's story, because I think this is like sometimes we make it more transactional, or, instead of just really being really like true, like, hey, like, I love your outfit. I love your post that you had. I love, where'd you get those shoes?
Right.
We do the same things virtually as we can in person. But, it is about the story, and it is about how we create center of influence and how we create circles. And it is truly networking. And I think some people really kind of forget that part of it.
Yeah, they do. They really do. And I think one of the things that's missing out of the online space is authenticity, right? Just being you. You are the only you, and your story is powerful, and everything about you is like amazing, right? Like, everything about you, everybody's different in their own way, but you have your own tribe. I have my own tribe, and some of our tribes intermingle, right? Yeah. Like, it's so cool just to be able to be authentic. And when people figure that out, then it's like this flower that just like blooms, because once you're authentic, you don't have to be anything but yourself. It's really cool.
Well, and you really tapped into the whole essence of why I felt so strong about creating this group, She Network, sharing her excellence, because I just think that so many women, they just never really see their real beauty. They never really tap into their real excellence and really realizing they are unique.
Right.
There's something special. And I shared this yesterday in the group, and I was like, you are in people's lives for a season, a reason, or a lifetime.
I love that. It's great. That is perfect.
And sometimes, you got to think about, you may be somebody's life for just a reason, right? Yeah. You may be the real answer to what's going on with them. But this is about you today. This is all about Brandy today. And we just want to hear, you're just such a rock star, like what's happened with you. But it wasn't always that way. Like, ladies, like she's like the top earner of her company, top 1% of her company. And I know that she just recently changed companies. And ladies, like she just brought like 400 new people into her team. Oh,
I did in the last 14 days. Yep, we're about at 400.
Yeah, I think she knows a little bit about, how to make this business work for you. So, Brandy, tell us about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got introduced into the network marketing industry when I was probably right around, I think my oldest son, he's 21. So my oldest son was about 6 months old, and it was the Pink Car Company, and I loved it. I loved serving other women. However, that skincare class thing that you had to do, the three live events every week to stay where you needed to stay, it got too much for my family. My family was growing, and I had, small babies at the time, and it was hard. And so I kind of put all of that away and went back to my salon, which I had done since I was about 19, and went back to that and just, focused on my family and growing my babies and, all those things. But then network marketing found me again. So how many of you guys, network marketing found you? You probably didn't go like searching it out, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. What's interesting is that I never really tell this story, Brandy, but I too was involved in that little pink company, for a brief stint of time in college. So I totally get that feeling and that mindset. And it was one of those things that it kind of found me, but I wasn't ready for it yet.
Right. Right.
I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. And I found some really great success in that company in my first, 3 years. Like I hit number 13 in recruiting. I was driving the car. I had, people underneath me, senior sales directors, that's at the time what they called them. And it really just was all encompassing because it was live, right? Like, and I had to continue to find more people. So which meant you were doing bridal fairs and all those things to, do free skincare classes and then hopefully sell your product. Yeah. So it's more like a direct sales type of thing. But then, life happened and I put all that away. And about 7.5 years ago, my new mother-in-law came through the door. And I tell this story because it's super funny. The only reason I let her in is because she didn't like me already. So when she came to the door, I was like, well, I've got to let her in or she's going to hate me even more than she already hates me. Now she loves me, right? And she's an incredible mother-in-law, but we had a few rough patches there when I first married her son. So yeah, now it's all good. But she brought me a company, and because of my experience in the Pink Company, there was 2 things that I was looking for. Number one was a product that was not everywhere, right? Because with the Pink Company, it was like I would meet a new friend or a bridal fair, and she'd be like, oh, thank you for doing this skincare class. I had so much fun, but I can get all of this stuff from my sister, right? That does Mary Kay or, something like that. So I knew what I was looking for. And when she brought it, I said, who knows about this? And is this real? Those were the 2 things that I was like, okay, I'm in. It took me 2 weeks to talk myself to go back into that networking lifestyle because I was, from the Pink Company traumatized.
Well, and now what, this is a new marriage. And so how was was your spouse supportive? Was he supportive?
Yeah, he was actually very supportive. The only thing that was hard is because I had 3 babies from my first marriage, and then we just had one together, and then he has a daughter. It was really, really difficult to build old school. And yes, I figured it out, right? My sponsor would come on Fridays and I would book appointments back to back to back to back here in town, right? Where she would drive 2.5 hours north and come to my town. And we would go talk to all the people I knew. But many of you know that after you've run out of your warm market, like people that know, like, and trust you, that's when it's like really, you've got to dig and find the grit, right? And I was only building traditional. I had no idea the entire internet world even existed for, building online. So I had no idea at that point. So my team, I grew really quickly inside of my company and grew really quickly and made, some really great money in my first 8 months, lots and lots of rank advancement, things like that. And then my team started to dwindle. And what I figured out is that what I was doing was not duplicatable, right? Like lots of people didn't have mother-in-laws to take their babies while they went and, did presentations with their warm market.
There's probably a lot of ladies here that like, wow, what an advantage.
Yeah.
Like, because they're like, and this is one of those things that sometimes, they look at you and they automatically discount themselves out of the equation because,
right.
Well, yeah, that's great for you. However, well, what about me?
Right. Yeah. Because like I said, some people don't have mother-in-laws, right? Some people are working a full-time job. So how are you going to book your business presentations all on a Friday and go do that? Sometimes that, it wasn't duplicatable for a lot of people. What I figured out is my situation was pretty, I was pretty lucky to have people in my life that would help me while I built something else. But when I figured out it wasn't duplicatable, it was kind of heartbreaking because I knew at that point that I had to figure out something else, but I wasn't sure what it was. And so I went building and driving 2.5 hours north because I live in a really small town. We only have a Walmart here, right? A Walmart and a Lynn's grocery store. There's like 10,000 people here, right? So once everybody figured out what I was doing in the first 8 months, right? Everybody knew what I was doing and I was getting a lot more no's, especially from people that had tried network marketing or, had been part of network marketing or whatever in the past and not been successful. And they were like, you know what? That stuff doesn't work, especially in small towns, because you've already enrolled everybody that was, interested. And now all those people were trying to enroll their people. And it's
okay. Like, who can relate to this? Like, who can relate to that? Maybe you're in a small town, a small community, like let's show who's got their hands up right now. Like that resonates with you. You are connecting with what she's saying right here. Right.
Yeah. It was hard. And then, once I just had River and she's 8 now. She'll be 9 in January. So she was teeny. She was a teeny tiny baby. And I actually hired a nanny. So there's a nanny.com where you can get on. And there was a gal that lived in my community that she was on there and she was super reliable. Lots of people used her. And so I hired her as a nanny. So I would drive 2.5 hours north or south to, stock people in malls, restaurants, try to build all the relationship stuff, like going into a store and being like, hey, I love your shoes, right? And I could get your name, your number, where you live, all those things, right? I was really good at cold prospecting, even though my soul was dying inside. How many of you have felt that before, right? You're like, oh, I've got to be so inauthentic. Like I probably, if I didn't know Taylor, I wouldn't walk up to her in a store and be like, girl, I love your shoes, right? Like, that's just not me. Like, it's just not me. Like I would say hello, and like, be normal human being, but I wouldn't be like up all in her business about her shoes or anything, right? Or her bag. Like that's just not my personality, but I had to adopt that to be able to cold prospect. And I got really good at it. However, the results weren't fruitful, right? I enrolled one person and she worked she was the corn dog girl at the mall that, did what is that even called? They wear the rainbow hat.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So her name was Jillian and she was darling, right? Like super darling. She was like one of the managers at the corn dog place in the mall. And I enrolled her, but she couldn't do what I was doing. And that was one of the main things, and I would leave my babies. Like River was a year old. I just finished nursing her and Ridge was barely 3. And, I was leaving them home with this nanny, and my others were in school. And then I would drive all that way and then come all the way back. So it's a 5-hour round trip, right? And I would just get names and do all of that crazy stuff. And I was like, if this is how you do this, it's going to take me forever, right? I'm never going to get to where I need to go because it was so time consuming and so, I don't even know, just inauthentic is kind of like, I say my soul was dying, right? Like, and that was probably how come I couldn't recruit people, is because I was like, well, I don't want Taylor to have to do this, right? If I enroll Taylor and I'm telling her, hey, get a nanny, your husband has to work overtime to pay for the nanny, and then you're going to go, 5 hours and do all this work. And the team wasn't growing. It was so torturous. Like, seriously, it was bad. So yeah.
I think this is definitely a connector. So because I resonate with you in a way, because I mean, I didn't have social media whenever I was, right. I didn't have the other options. I didn't have any online options. It was, belly to belly. It was those,
networking events and all that stuff.
It was absolutely, you had to do the do, right?
Yeah.
Do it afraid. And, or, you were going to sink or swim.
Yep. That's basically what happened. And because it wasn't duplicatable, my team was not duplicating anything. They were like, there is no way, especially moms that are working, like, how are they going to drive 5 hours, a round trip to get 10 names and then try to call them all week and set up appointments and drive back up there and do them. It just didn't work. Right. So I felt, and here's what I felt. I remember, Taylor, like I would get in the shower and I would just cry because, I didn't want my kids to see me cry. Right. And I didn't want my husband to see me cry, because if I'm crying about my business, then obviously he's going to be like, okay, maybe this isn't, a very good idea. And I wanted them, we had these big dreams, right, for the kids and for us, and more family time and choices and all those things. So I'd get in the shower and I'd cry. And then I remember I'd go to events and I'd watch these people.
I want to ask the ladies, like, how many of you have stood in your shower or sat in your bathtub and cried about your business? Like, because you're like, okay, am I good enough?
Yeah. And that's where that boils down to. So when I watched these other people go across stage, and it was all this story, right? You would see this great success and they were, rank advancing, and they'd only been in for 19 days and all of a sudden they have 100,000 in volume or whatever, right? And I seriously felt like the leaders in the company or people that were doing this, like, were standing in the corner with their hands over their mouth like this. And they weren't telling me what the hell was the secret. Like, what was I doing wrong? And that's where I started to doubt myself, right? It was like my self-worth. I'm like, I must just not be good enough to do this. I must suck at this, right? And I was going to all of the events. I was taking in all the training, right? I was like, I spent so much time like personal development and reading books, and like, my upline would be like, well, just go enroll 5 more people. And I'd want to stab him in the eye, right? Because I'm like working all this time and crying, and it was a disaster, Taylor. Seriously, it was a disaster. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So what was your breakthrough? Like, what took place for you?
You're going to laugh at this, but the foyer in the mall, like where it's all beautiful and vaulted and they've got all like the seating and everything and like fountains and all the pretty stuff. I was standing in that foyer, like, just like super frustrated about the day, right? Like, I'm like, I can't get anybody to talk to me. I've left my babies again, paying the nanny all this money and, all this gas money to go. And then, I was like packing my sandwich, my peanut butter and jelly sandwich with me, because I didn't want to spend more money to be, from the household to build this business. And every time I would pull up to the mall, there was a homeless guy on the corner, and I wasn't smart enough to take 2 sandwiches. So every day I would hand him my sandwich, because I was like, shiz, right? Like, at least this guy, like, at least I have a car and a family, and this guy's, standing on the road, like begging for food. And so I give him my sandwich every day. And so then I was starving, right? And so I was irritated, starving, just like feeling like crap. And I got to the foyer of that mall, and it was just like walking down, I was standing there and I'm looking right in the foyer and all of the people that are waiting for the other people to finish shopping or whatever with kids or, whatever. And every single one of those people, they were staring at their cell phone. And I was like, light bulb, right? Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm trying to get these people to talk to me and every person is staring at a screen. So how do I get in there? How do I get in there? How do I get in front of these people in a way that makes sense, right? And that's where I started to search, okay, what do we do online? And I made some huge mistakes. Like, I got with my one team member that was left, and I said, look, we're going to figure out this online thing, right? Well, he had enrolled somebody that had done a little bit of advertising on social media. And so they thought that we needed to like post kind of like a job offer, right? So we posted this job offer on social media, and then people would, respond to this job offer, but they felt like it was a bait and switch because it's not a job, it's network marketing, right? So that all went wrong. That was a total disaster. And so then I was watching an interview with a couple of top leaders.
That's how I came into the business, was it? Like that. Like
really?
Like a bait and switch, work from home, right?
And then they said it's network marketing, and you were like, okay, I'm in.
Well, not the first time. It took a while for me to get there, but I mean, that was the concept, right? But I mean, it was a story that actually got me in,
right?
So I mean, but it is interesting, how those things always come full circle, no matter what. So this is anyway.
Yeah. So after that, it was just a kind of disaster, and I'd seen Eric Worre on stage. So for many of you, that have seen him teach and train and all those things, I'd seen him on stage. And so I was on YouTube and I was like searching up, how to build online kind of stuff. And what I found was an interview between him and then another leader, Ray Higdon. And you guys probably know who both of those people are. And Ray in this interview mentions attraction marketing. And this was like I looked at the video not long ago, and it was like almost 10 years ago that he'd done the video with Eric. And so I'm watching it, right? And I'm like, what is this new word? Right? So I started searching out attraction marketing, and that's how I found my mentor that taught me how to build online, right? And I had a huge learning curve. And many of you, well, maybe you don't know, but I was not tech savvy. I didn't even know how to copy and paste. No kidding. Like I didn't know that you could hit Control-C and Control-V and it would copy everything, right? Like and paste it somewhere else.
I didn't even know. I don't know that. I learned. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't even know how to copy and paste. And so if I can figure this out, right, anybody can figure this out. But from there, I had a huge learning curve. I didn't use computers. I was a people person. I ran a salon, right? I did hair, and it was all, basically a cash business. And, I kept track of my people on my book. That's what was my Bible, right? Like when they were coming in, what they did, all the things. And so I didn't use technology. So that was a huge another hurdle that I had to go through. And I wasn't taught that in high school. I mean, I may look 29, but I'm not. Just kidding.
You look great. You look great. Well, I mean, but so I want to talk about this for just a minute here, ladies, because I think this is a very, very, very important point, and not to get lost in this, because here's the thing. Brandy is sharing with you a lot of really valuable information, but I want you to not get lost or to think what she is sharing with you is the shiny object.
Yeah.
It's not, because here's what I will tell you. Before she got to this space, she had to go to the gym and lift some weights. And what I mean by that is she went through her own learning curve about how to have a relationship, how to have a conversation, how to talk about her product, how to talk about her opportunity. This is foundational. She went through that learning curve first. This is key. This is key, because I do have people that, they're like, oh, I'm brand new to network marketing. I want to build online. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. But we have to start you off with like having a conversation with another human being, right? Like, how does that work? And I have a perfect example, right? My son recently enrolled in my company with me, and he doesn't have Facebook. Okay. So Facebook for those kids are, I guess, he's an adult, but for that generation, it's for old people, right? So he's like on Snapchat and, Instagram kind of stuff, right? Like that Snapchat is like the thing for that generation. And so, and TikTok. And so for him, I had to take him to the very foundational basics of, okay, we've got to build an audience and we've got to make new friends, right? You've got to build this relationship. And the funny part about it is he's a huge gamer. So like he has people that pay him to, teach him how to game and stuff. And he was like, what do you mean I have to talk to people?
right? Like he was like, so, you know, like I had to take him, like Taylor's saying, basically down to the bare bones of what foundational skill do you need to learn first. And so that was the first one, is you've got to build an audience, right? That's got to be the piece of it. Because listen, there's only two ways to do this. You have a warm market or you build in a warm market. That's it. There's only two. And I
tell people all the time, I'm like, well, there's only two kinds of people. You either know them or you don't.
Right. And they're never going to join you unless they know, like, and trust you. So you've got to make more friends.
And so I'm sharing this with you, ladies, because I want you, because the story is so powerful. I just don't want you to go, oh, that's the shiny.
That's the ticket. It was the online. No, it's all those skills put together, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, she did the basics first, and this is like, and this will be 80%. I mean, Larry and I teach about that, you know, the Thompson rule, 80, 15, and 5 concept, that 80% of the people that you come in will be fine with doing exactly how Brandy started, right? $1,000 a month, simple, give them that track to run on, they'll be happy. But now we're talking at a more advanced level, right? We're talking about, these are the 5%ers. These are the upper echelon. Now we're talking about marketing skills. And there's a difference between network marketing and marketing.
There's a huge difference.
Huge difference. I want to share that. I want to make clarification on that so you don't get confused or you don't get frustrated, because it's such a powerful story. But we got to learn the basics, and then you transition into what she's talking about and learning how to hone in on the marketing aspect of your business.
Yeah, so, and that's a good point too, Taylor, because a lot of people do get stuck in this shiny object syndrome thing, right? They're looking for the greatness in a thing, right? Yeah. They're looking for a thing to fix. Like they're like, oh, well, you know, she sucked at traditional, so let's, you know, she give her online, and then all of a sudden she, you know, she blows it up, right? No, it's the greatness that you're looking for. It's actually in you.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's in you. It's not the tool. It's not the tactic. Yes, you have to learn skills. Yes, you're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable, and you might love some of it and you might not love some of it, right? Like I still don't love part of what I do, but that's just what I chose to do, right? And it's very true. Network marketing is so different than just marketing. So you've got to, yeah.
It's such, I mean, this is such a powerful conversation. So then you started, so you had your mentor, so then you started in this process. So what happened after you started taking these fundamentals and applying it? We'll use it that way. Mm-hmm. From a marketing perspective, what took place at that point?
Yeah, so I started to get, you know, between 5 to 10 people reaching out to me a day, and my mentors actually came to me and were like, "Well, what is it you're doing?" Okay, because the other people weren't getting those kind of results. Well, guess what I was doing? If somebody was reaching out to me about a question or whatever, I'm like, "Hey, Taylor, you know what? I've got time later this afternoon. Would you love to jump on a Zoom? And I can just like get more clarity on what you're looking at and maybe help you."
Gosh, this is so good. Okay, Brandy, this is like magic right here, because you know, like that's such magic right here, because so many times as a marketer, they wouldn't have taken that conversation.
No, and that's what the entire company that I was getting mentorship from, that's what the entire company was doing, is that they were just like throwing out the bait, right? And people were asking questions, but then they're just sending them another link or something else to look at. And I was willing to be like, you know what? I want to jump on a call with Taylor and I want to get clarity on what she's actually looking for. So I'm telling her, you know, what is best for her business, right? So I would get on these calls with people and I would ask them questions. I'd be like, okay, you know, like what's not working? What has been working? And, you know, where do you want to go with this? Right. Yeah. Like, and so I was offering a higher value service, because there's not very many people that's going to jump on a Zoom with you inside of a, $27 offer or even a lead funnel, right? They're not going to jump on. And I was willing to jump on with everyone. I was.
And this is the thing that, and ladies, this is such a valuable conversation, because there's so many times that you get somebody and because the reason Brandy had the confidence to want to get on the phone and transition from online to offline on a conversation is because she had the basics. She had the fundamentals of what she was going to have the conversation about. She had those She had the basics down. And what really sets you apart is the reason that you were willing to do that, and where a lot of times people, they want to just hide behind their computer screen.
Yeah. And a lot of people do. I mean, that's just what they want. And it's not authentic to me. And I honestly, it's a selfish reason for me, is I figured out very early in this whole entrepreneur career that I love serving other people. And I can't serve you just being behind my screen, right? Like I can to a certain degree, but I wanted more. I wanted interaction with Taylor. Here I was, a mom, right, at home now with these 6 kids. And, you know, like I had River on my lap.
By the way, God bless you, by the way, 6 kids.
Well, it wasn't on purpose, Taylor. It wasn't on purpose. It was due to circumstances, right? Got married, had 3 kids, married a guy that had a kid, and then he wanted 2 more. So, that's kind of where that went. But of course I wouldn't give him back. But yeah, I would jump on with, in between like calls or Zooms, at the soccer field or, football or whatever I was doing, and just offer value for other people and explain my story and how I found online, and maybe it might be a fit for them. And the best part about it is the offer that I was sharing as an affiliate had a 30-day money back guarantee. So I didn't have to feel like, you know what, if I share this with Taylor and it's not the best fit for her, I would tell them, you know what, get the $27 offer, meet with the coach. And if it's not for you, then just return it. No big deal, right? But at least you've looked at what, a way that you can build your business online. So that's what I did. And I was just very servant leadership is what you would call it. I wasn't interested in just enrolling them in my team or, selling them a product or selling them an affiliate product or whatever. I was interested in how I could help them.
Right.
So I think that is a huge key there too, because when I was in that mindset of I need everyone to join my team, I need everyone, I need to make money, I need, it was very like off-putting to people.
Yeah. Yes.
So.
I think that's such a very valuable conversation. Now, so you took this information and then you got to the top echelon of your company.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about this, because you just recently made a change, and it wasn't ideologies no longer lined up, philosophy.
Right.
Things you want to share it? Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely. So recently I had a friend reach out about a company that was coming from Europe to North America. And, we've been friends for a long time, and she just shared it. Right. And I was kind of like, I'm happy where I am, because our team had just had one of the biggest months ever. And we were entering into some really great momentum with the team, and people were getting results and all was well. But really, when I look at it, my team wasn't winning as well as I wanted them to be winning. And it's always, as a leader, it's always something that eats at you, that it's like this little Pac-Man dude in the back of your mind. And he's like, your team is not, as successful as they want to be, or, and again, it's those feelings of self-worth and self-doubt that comes up, because you're like, man, I'm supposed to be leading this team and I can't get her to rank advance, right? Like, and I'm trying to do all, help her do meetings and teach her and all those things. But what I come to find out is that there was a change made in my company that I was in, and it no longer aligned with my values and where I wanted to go. And I was more concerned with my team winning. And when we had this opportunity to, it was more like a compensation plan, and I had more, what's the word I'm looking for? Influence over the way the company will come here in North America, or how it has come here, and I'll have more influence inside of corporate, is kind of what I want to say, is that my team now is, they're winning and they're excited, and they're recruiting people that they wouldn't even talk to before. Like, it was like we had no excitement in the other place. There was kind of no ooh la la factor. Yeah. So that's kind of the reason that we chose as a team to move. And, it was a hard decision, and, each person had their own conversations with their own people. Right. Yeah. And everybody pretty much came along, except a few that kind of weren't building it to begin with. So,
right.
Yeah.
So, talking to the ladies here, if they're listening to you, like, because you talked about, one of the things that you can teach them or share with them is how to get more done. Like that was one of their takeaways that they would get today, how to, manage their daily method of operation.
Yep.
You want to share a couple of tips that they can?
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite wheelhouses. Inside of social media, there's an algorithm that goes with each social media platform. And so that's number one, figuring out how the algorithm works. I personally build on the big Facebook. That's where I have found my audience. That's where I started, and that's where most people are. So that's where I most of the times, start people off, except for my son, because he's like, Facebook is for old people, right? So I started him over on Instagram, and we're learning together how to navigate that whole thing. But so inside Facebook, you've got to give the algorithm what it wants for it to give you what you want. Okay. And I know what you want. You want more views, you want more, likes, comments, and shares, and you want more people reaching out to you. Okay. Right. So I know that's what you want, because that's what I want. Right. So inside of the algorithm, you're going to want to spend, at least 30 to 60 minutes giving love to others. Okay. This is really key.
This is the time to write this down. So she's given value. Make sure you got a pad and you're writing this down. So talking about the algorithm, giving it what it needs.
Yep.
Repeat that again, please, Brandy.
Yeah, you've got to give it what it needs. That means you've got to give more love than you've got to receive. Okay. So you've got to take 30 to 60 minutes to go into other people's social media, their walls, their posts, all those things. And you've got to give love, start meaningful conversations with them. Okay. So your like and your love. So we were just talking about this on our team call this morning. If Taylor was standing in front of me, right, and I just met her, and we connected in some way, maybe our kids, were at the soccer game together or whatever, and she's standing next to me, and I just give her a thumbs up after something she says, she's gonna look at me like,
what the heck?
What the heck? What is up with this chick, right? Or if I do this to her, right, she's gonna be like, you're creepy weird. Okay, so you've gotta get in there and be a human freaking being. That's what you've got to do inside of the algorithm, right? So in Instagram, Facebook, all of these social media platforms, they're built to be social. So when you think about me and Taylor at the soccer game, right? We're going to have a conversation. We're going to say, hey, Taylor, which kid is yours? Aren't they so flippin' cute, right? Like, which one is yours? And she's going to tell me her name and, how old she is and what teacher they have. Maybe they have the same teacher. Maybe they're in the same school, right? Like, we're going to have a conversation, and I'm going to ask her questions about herself, because that's what network marketers do, right? We build friends.
This is such a powerful, with the ladies, like, there's so much value in this right here. And it's not about reaching out to have a conversation. So it's what's in it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, your mindset has to change. Your mindset has to be different, right? You have to think differently about what you're doing with intention, but with true authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity. Yeah.
Not looking for the outcome.
Right.
If you focus on the activity, the outcome will take care of itself. If you just focus on doing the activity and being a genuine person,
they're posting about their life on social media, and what they're looking for is, guess what? Comments, likes, shares, and people to connect with. That's the whole purpose, right? So when you do this, you're priming the algorithm to be like, oh, like Brandy actually is interested in making more friends and engaging with other people. So that's the first step, right? The second step is go to your notifications, and you only want to spend a few minutes there, okay? And one of my really great mentors that I love to follow, John Eric, you guys can find him anywhere. It's John Eric Thinks. He taught me that when you go
John or
John Eric Thinks. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's everywhere. Adventure Social is his page if you guys want to go check it out. But he taught me that the notification piece is like a fire, and you want to just gently blow on the fire. It's not a freaking inbox. It's not an inbox. So when you go and treat it like an inbox, basically you just killed your post. It's going to go really good for 24 more hours from you doing it like an inbox, and then it's going to be dead. and then you got to post again, right? So treat it like a fire. You're going to blow on the fire. Just spend 5 to 10 minutes in notifications, answering a few people, answering some questions. You know, if somebody has commented on their stuff that you've already commented on yesterday, go back in and re-comment, or maybe even take it to Messenger, right? Like, you want to just slowly build that fire inside of your notifications. And then
that's really, really powerful advice right there. I mean, because some people don't realize like some of the comments and how it pushes it back through the feed.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, whenever you do that boom, 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 then that shuts it down.
Yeah, it's just a one and done. No one else is going to comment on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then after that, after you've done your notifications, that's when you're going to go post, because you've given all this love, right? You've given all the love. And when the first thing you did was about them. The second thing was more about them than you, because the notifications are people like commenting, liking, and sharing your stuff, or commenting back on what you've already done. So that's what notifications are. So that's also about them. The third thing then, and this again, John Eric taught me, you've then earned the right to post.
That's good.
And your post you want to do with intention, right? Like if Taylor's my perfect prospect and she's somebody that I would love to have in my team, or maybe, you know, she's into health and wellness and she, you know, could use my products, I'm going to post something that's relevant to Taylor. That's the key. It's not you to get on there and like rant about your life and, you know, whatever. It's to provide value to other people, even through your story, right? Like you can see today, like Taylor, you know, having me on and telling my story, there was a reason for her to tell the story. It's because that's how you connect to other human beings, right? That's a part of it. And it's to help you guys realize that you aren't any different than Taylor and I. It's just you haven't figured that out yet. You haven't figured out that you're the magic.
Yes.
And you've got to figure that piece out. So once you post, then you're going to go into Messenger and just send like 5-6 messages. And you can even send it right to a friend, an old friend, and be like, hey, I haven't talked to you for a while. How are you doing? Right? So it's kind of like this ecosystem that you're doing inside of the algorithm, but you've got to give the algorithm what it wants, or it doesn't give you what you want. And then the last one, get off social media and go build your dang business, or go play with your kids and take pictures so you have something to, you know, talk about, right? Or something to post about.
Yes.
So
this is so good. Such great nuggets of wisdom, ladies. And so whenever you were talking about like your daily method of operation, so this is something that this is like what you're doing.
Yeah, every day. This is what I teach my team to do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the other skills will come, right? Like when somebody puts on your post, hey, you know what, I need that hack, or whatever you're talking about. That's when you take it into Messenger, and that's where the money is made, is in Messenger. And I'm sure many of you have heard that before, but money is in Messenger is the money. That's where all the follow-up happens. And you've got to get really good at that follow-up, because if you don't, you're leaving all that money just sitting there, right? And if you don't, all the other stuff that you did, it's for naught. Like it's kind of like taking the check, like you go to work and you take the check, but you're not going to go take it to the bank.
And this right here is, I mean, to be honest with you, Brandy, I mean, you probably can identify with this. I really feel like this is where lots and lots of people leave. I mean, it's like they're looking for pennies on the floor,
yep.
Dollars on the table.
Exactly.
They're not willing to do the follow-up. And I was always taught there's a penny in the sale, but there's a fortune in the follow-up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is so totally true. And it doesn't mean you have to like follow up with people right away. I don't know if you guys have noticed with Messenger that it's kind of like a 24-hour deal, right? If Taylor's asleep and I send her a message, you know, at midnight, because that's when I'm doing my stuff, you know, when I have time to get it done, it's not going to, like, unless she didn't turn off her phone, because I turned my phone off. If I didn't turn my phone off, like it would go off all night, right? With team and messages and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I can send the message whenever I need to send it, and Taylor can pick it up at her own pace. And that's what I love about social media, is that it's all based on your timing, right? If you see a video from Taylor and then next week, you know, she gives you an offer and you see it maybe a day later and then you buy, all of that was based on your timing. And she's still running her business based on her timing. right? So that's the part where getting more done. So we can just roll right into that if you want.
Sure. Yeah.
Getting more done is you need to block out the times to actually get this done, right? A lot of us, especially moms, we're like, oh, I'll just do it on the fly, right? Or I'll do it in the lineup to pick up the kids, because you got to wait or whatever you're doing. That's great if that's what you want to do, but just make sure it's in your calendar, right? It's got to be blocked off where you say, actually, my DMO takes me now anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half for, my organic stuff that I do on my page. So I block that time out. It might be after my kids go to bed, right? It could be, 9 o'clock and then I have from 9 to 11 to work my business. Or it could be, 5 a.m. to 7 when you get the kids up and then, off to work kind of thing, right? Like you've just got to figure out where to put that daily mode of operation and get it in your calendar and get consistent. I don't care if it's Christmas. I don't care if it's, your son's birthday. I don't care if you don't feel like it. We all have to do what we have to do to build our business, right? And if you're not going to be consistent, it's kind of like you're picking up the ball and then you're just dropping it again. And it's not getting any momentum. It's not going anywhere. You're building this bridge. And then because you're not consistent, you're breaking the bridge. So every week, it's the same with exercise. This is such a great way to tell you, because I hired a personal trainer over, online to help me stay accountable with my workouts, because I want to look and feel a certain way. But when I only work out like 3 times a week or 2 times a week, the next week feels like I'm starting all over. Yeah. Like I'm so freaking sore and like I feel like a grandma, right? Like I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, right? Like I can't even walk, my legs hurt, like everything hurts. But if you just continue to do it, then you're not sore anymore, right? You will if you really go hard at something different. But you get what I'm saying? It's kind of like you're starting over every time and you're building these bridges and you're just breaking them down because you're not staying consistent.
And the consistency, and this is where I really feel like, working with distributors really is a huge, huge ball drop, because, you think, okay, you go do something or you do an activity and you were like, okay, wait, when's it going to happen?
Yep.
But you've got to get in your mind, it's the consistency. It's like what you do today won't show up till tomorrow.
It's like 60 to 90 days out before you're going to see anything. But I can promise you, if you follow that DMO that I gave you, those specific steps in that order, those 3 have to happen in that order. You cannot mess them up. You cannot post and then check your notifications. They have to happen in that order or it doesn't work. And I've tested this with my team, myself. In 2 weeks, I had so many freaking people to talk to, I couldn't even keep track. Like, seriously. Wow. And this was when John Eric taught it to me, right? Like, and he was like, guys, and that's what he said. And that's what it was a big eye opener for me. Your heart or your gift is not good enough anymore. Like, up your game. If you want to make real money in this industry, you got to up your game. That's just the bottom line.
So ladies, there's such a huge takeaways right here, because this is something anybody can do. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have a marketing system or marketing genius or guru or team or whatever to do what Brandy is sharing with you today. You can take these steps, go out, you do them, prove it out.
Yep.
Your people that you're bringing in, this is all I do every day. I've gotten this new many customers, this new many team members, but you have to be willing to do the work, and you have to be consistent with it. It's definitely magic. So, okay, so we're getting down to the end here, and I want to, you just such great wisdom here. Now, for those ladies, like, I know you're going to be coming in and teaching to the members, and I know that they're probably going, oh my gosh, teach us what you do. I know they're crazy, like, she tells what you do. So all of you be looking for whenever we have Brandy scheduled to come into the membership for the ladies in the membership. But let's talk about, mindset. Let's talk about, like, give the ladies some, like, do you have like maybe a favorite quote that you use that you stand on, or scripture?
Yeah, I have a favorite quote, and then I want to share a book with you. And my favorite quote is, it's not about you. It actually never has been. And so you've got to remember that in everything that you do. It's not about you. It's always going to be about someone else, and you're going to get what you need because you serve other people. So it's not about you. It never was. And then if you guys haven't read The Slight Edge, it's such a great book, and it breaks it down to basic fundamentals.
Yeah.
To basic fundamentals. Like right now, if you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot for a DMO, right? To spend 30 to 60 minutes talking to people on, inside social media. I would challenge you to like time yourself, how much time you're actually wasting in Wastebook when you're just scrolling. Right? Like, because I have this happen to me. I'll go to do something inside of social media and I'll be like, oh, look at the puppies. Right. And then all of a sudden, like I'm checking out like the Frenchies or the pugs or, whatever. And then I'm in TikTok and I look up and I'm like, crap, 3 hours just went by. Right. So, you have time everybody has the same 24 hours. You've just got to start small. So if you have to start with the 30 to 60 minutes, just talking to people inside of social media to get used to it, do it, right? Like you don't necessarily have to post, practice that part first, then go into notifications, only spend 5 minutes instead of your 2 hours that you normally spend because you're teaching it like, treating it like an inbox. And then, you can add the posting, like taking it so super simple back to just one thing a day and then adding one more with the Slight Edge.
Love that. Love that. Because here's the thing, one discipline affects the next discipline.
It really does. And then the last thing that I want you ladies to know is to give yourself some grace. Not every day is perfect. I'm serious. Like when my grandpa's 89 and he shows up, I might as well just like the whole day is hijacked, right? Like that's what I call it, is my day just got hijacked. And it's not because he's a pest. It's because his generation, they don't make appointments. They don't do that. It's they go show up and they talk to people. And so when he comes, of course, I want to spend time with him, right? So I'll rearrange my entire day. Sometimes that's inconvenient. Sometimes I have like a live interview that I'm doing and I'm like, Grandpa, hang on a second, right? Like I'll be with you in a minute, right? Like 20 minutes, or he'll run to Walmart and come back, or whatever. But your day is going to get hijacked. Sometimes your kids are sick, sometimes you get a call from the dentist and they're like, hey, can you change your appointment from this day to this day? Give yourself some grace and stop beating the crap out of yourself about all these little judgy things that you bring up about yourself. Because when I changed that, It was incredible. When I just was like, you know what, I am who I am and I'm a human and things are going to happen. Like I can give you an example. I thought this interview with Taylor was going to start right now. Okay. And I actually had a 7-figure earner that I was meeting with another 7-figure earner to enroll them into my team. And you know what I had to say to those two people? I'm like, look, I totally screwed up, right? I'm going to have to reschedule. I made a commitment to be on here live with these people. So sometimes things aren't going to roll out perfectly. And I can sit and beat myself up about it. But what good's that going to do? That's not going to serve anybody, and it doesn't serve you. So give yourself some grace when things don't go exactly as you need them to go. And then the last thing, don't ever quit, because Taylor and I will kick your butt. That's what we'll do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't quit.
Yeah. So I hope you guys got value from today, and I can't wait to, come in and train inside of the members area. It'll be super fun. So
yes. So give her, ladies, give her woo-woo, give her lots of love and heart. So it's been an amazing interview. I love it. I love it. So be looking for her. Make sure that you give her lots of hearts and loves. Introduce yourself.
Yeah. Say hello.
Say hello, meet Brandy, get to know her. She's amazing. She's a rock star. So love her. So ladies, that is it for us today. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you got lots of value. This is Taylor Thompson and Brandy Shaver here live on the She Network. Have a blessed
Bye, guys.
Bye.